So, you bring a puppy into your life and you kind of naturally expect a few standard things.
Right, the basics.
Yeah, exactly. Like you expect to buy a mountain of dog food, you expect to go on a lot of walks, and you definitely know you're going to lose at least one good pair of shoes to the chewing phase.
Oh, absolutely. R.I.P. to the favorite sneakers.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But what you might not expect is that you have suddenly and quite permanently acquired a bathroom attendant.
Yes, a very dedicated one.
Right, just a small, furry, intensely observant shadow that for some reason absolutely insists on following you into the bathroom every single time you go.
And I mean, they aren't just following you, they're sitting there maintaining eye contact,
Yeah.
completely convinced that this is a team activity.
It is so funny. So why does this dog insist on being your bathroom shadow? Today, we're diving into an expert briefing on the behavior, the psychology, and the trainability of the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel.
It's a fascinating breed.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because as it turns out, the whole bathroom habit is basically the skeleton key to understanding everything about this dog. It's not about the bathroom at all.
Not even a little bit.
Right. It's about a dog whose entire genetic history, which was meticulously sculpted over centuries, was shaped around one single overriding biological imperative, which is staying physically and emotionally tethered to a human being.
That's the core of it, yeah.
So for you, the listener, the learner looking for those aha moments, the mission of this deep dive is to show you how understanding that one piece of genetic wiring completely rewrites the rule book on how you train and live with the dog. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, we really have to start with that genetic wiring because it redefines a word that dog owners use all the time, which is intelligence.
Okay, how so?
So when you ask if a Cavalier is easy to train, the answer from the sources is generally yes. But people usually just assume that's because the dog is quote-unquote smart.
Right.
And intelligence in dogs is actually highly misunderstood.
Yeah, I mean, because intelligence alone can actually be a total nightmare when you're trying to train an animal.
Oh, 100%.
Like having a smart but independent dog is like having a brilliant but rebellious roommate. You know the type.
Oh, I've had that roommate.
Right. They are a literal genius. They could probably build a supercomputer in the garage, but they absolutely refuse to wash their own dishes or, follow the house rules because they just do not care what you want.
Exactly.
They are smart, but they are entirely uncooperative.
And you see that constantly in the dog world, honestly. Like, look at a breed like a husky or certain terriers.
Oh, yeah. Huskies are notorious for that.
Right. They're incredibly intelligent problem solvers. But when you ask them to sit, they, analyze the request and think, well, what's the return on investment here?
Like, what's in it for me?
Exactly. Why should I exert the energy to do what you want? But a Cavalier's intelligence operates on a completely different frequency.
How is it different?
Their cognitive ability is permanently fused to that deep-seated genetic desire to remain in sync with you. So the bidability, the actual willingness to cooperate is the real engine of their intelligence.
Ah, okay. So it's never a battle of wits. Like you aren't trying to outsmart a rebel who is actively looking for a loophole in the rules.
Precisely. Training a Cavalier isn't about dominance or outthinking them. You are essentially speaking a language they already desperately want to understand.
That makes it sound so easy.
Well, their prime motivator isn't an independent job like herding sheep or guarding a perimeter. Their prime motivator is connection to you.
Okay, but if they're genetically engineered to be this cooperative, why do people still struggle to train them?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right. Because if we take this out of the theoretical and into the living room, how do the actual mechanics of training work here? A lot of traditional dog training relies really heavily on correcting a dog when they mess up.
Yeah, the old school methods.
Yeah, the whole alpha dog dominance theory, which with a dog that just wants to please you kind of feels like yelling at someone who's already trying to help you.
What's fascinating here is this is where that genetic sensitivity becomes a double-edged sword.
Okay.
If you apply traditional dominance training, so, heavy-handed corrections, shouting, or physically forcing a dog into compliance to a Cavalier, you don't just fail to teach them a command. You actively shatter their psychological foundation.
Wow. Shatter it. But let me push back on that for a second.
Sure.
Because I get that you shouldn't scream at a sensitive dog for, jumping on the couch. But what if it's a real emergency?
Like a safety issue.
Yeah, what if they are bolting toward a busy street?
Sure.
Instinct tells you that you have to yell or deliver a harsh physical correction to snap them out of it and keep them safe.
Right.
You can't just calmly wave a treat in that scenario.
Right, but you're confusing management in an emergency with the actual mechanics of learning.
Oh, interesting.
In a life or death emergency, of course, you do whatever it takes to stop the dog from getting hit by a car. Grab the leash, yell, whatever. But you have to understand that the dog learns absolutely nothing in that moment of terror.
They just know they got yanked.
Exactly. When a dog is shouted at or harshly corrected, their nervous system spikes cortisol that goes straight into a fight, flight, or freeze state. And a brain in a state of high stress physically cannot encode new information.
Right. The learning center just shuts down.
Completely. So while you stopped them today, you didn't actually teach them how to avoid the street tomorrow.
They didn't learn a boundary. They just learned that you are occasionally terrifying and unpredictable.
Yes. And for a breed whose entire world revolves around reading your emotional state, that unpredictability just ruins their trust.
Oh, man. That breaks my heart a little bit.
It is sad. A Cavalier that has shut down emotionally because of harsh corrections, they just freeze.
And people probably think they're being stubborn.
Exactly. They look stubborn, but they're actually paralyzed by anxiety. That is why positive reinforcement is completely non-negotiable here.
You have to make it a good experience.
You build a reliable neurological association between a specific behavior and a positive outcome, like treats, praise, play when the dog's nervous system is calm and receptive.
Okay, let's apply that neurological state to, like, the holy grail of dog training, which is recall.
Oh, the hardest one.
Right. Getting the dog to reliably come back to you when you call their name. Because, I mean, if they are already genetically obsessed with being near you, this should be the easiest thing in the world.
You would think so.
But it's clearly not, or people wouldn't constantly ask for help with it in the source material.
Yeah, it breaks down because owners misunderstand how a dog processes competing environments.
Okay, what do you mean by competing environments?
Well, yes, the dog is naturally drawn to you. The challenge isn't that they don't care about you. The challenge is that the outside environment is incredibly loud to their senses.
Just overwhelming.
Right. The scent of a squirrel on a bush or the sight of another dog across the park, it just floods their brain with dopamine. That environmental stimulus briefly outcompetes the gravitational pull toward you.
So how do you override a squirrel? Because squirrels are pretty compelling to a dog.
You don't start by competing with the squirrel. That's the secret.
Oh, okay.
You build the neurological pathway in a vacuum first. You start indoors in a quiet hallway with zero distractions.
So it's super boring.
Extremely boring. The mechanism here is profound, but actually really simple. You have to make the act of turning away from the environment and moving toward you the single most rewarding sequence in that dog's entire day.
So you're throwing a party when they look at you.
A massive party. You call their name, and the second they orient toward you, you mark that choice with immense praise and a really high-value reward.
Like the good cheese, not just dried kibble.
Exactly, the good stuff. And you do it hundreds of times in boring environments so that the neural pathway of hear name, run to human, becomes an automatic reflex. It becomes stronger than the distraction.
It's essentially muscle memory for the brain.
100%.
Which I guess brings us to the other massive environmental challenge, which is leash walking.
Oh, yes.
Because it is so common to see an owner just being physically dragged down the sidewalk by a 20-pound dog in a harness, just gasping for air.
It happens all the time.
But if they want to be near us so badly, why do they pull so hard away from us on a walk?
It actually comes down to a physical mechanism in dogs called the opposition reflex.
Opposition reflex.
Yeah, so when a dog feels pressure against their chest or neck from a leash, their automatic physical reflex is to lean into that pressure.
Oh, wow. So they aren't doing it on purpose.
Not at all. They aren't trying to dominate the walk. They aren't saying, I'm the alpha, I lead the way. They literally just feel restraint and push against it.
That makes so much sense.
And furthermore, they very quickly learn a flawed equation.
Which is?
I pull, the human takes a step. Therefore, pulling is the mechanism that moves the world forward. They think forward thrust is the literal only way to reach that fire hydrant. Exactly. So how do you reprogram that equation? Because you have to walk them. You have to treat the leash walk as a two-way conversation of action and consequence.
Okay.
See, the environment, the smells, the other dogs, that is the ultimate reward. You teach the dog that they only get access to that reward when the leash has slack in it.
So how do you enforce that without correcting them?
When they hit the end of the leash and pull, you don't yank them back, you simply stop walking. You become a tree.
Just completely freeze.
Completely.
So the equation changes for them. Pulling no longer equals forward motion. Pulling equals the world stopping entirely.
Exactly. And the moment they look back at you or take a step back and put slack in the leash, you immediately resume walking.
Oh, I see.
You let the environment do the heavy lifting of the reward. Over time, their brain makes the connection. Staying close to the human keeps the walk active, but pulling turns the human into a statue.
That is brilliant. So we're leveraging this intense genetic tether to get them to walk nicely and come when called.
Right.
But if we follow the logic of that intense attachment, there has to be a very dark side to it.
Right. There absolutely is.
Because if this dog's entire nervous system is calibrated to be physically and emotionally close to you, what happens to their brain when you sever that tether? Like when you pick up your keys, walk out the door, and just drive to work for 8 hours.
This is, without a doubt, the most critical behavioral hurdle for the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel.
Separation anxiety.
Separation anxiety. And it is vital that you, as an owner, do not view this as a dog misbehaving out of spite or boredom. It is a direct extension of the exact trait you bought the dog for.
Okay, so it's not a tantrum because they're left alone.
No, it's honestly closer to a human experiencing vertigo.
Vertigo.
Yeah, you can't just tell someone standing on the edge of a cliff to, logic their way out of vertigo.
Right, because their body's just reacting.
Their nervous system is hijacked. When a Cavalier is suddenly separated from their primary attachment figure, their brain often interprets that not as a temporary absence, but as a genuine survival threat.
Oh, that is so sad.
It really is. The resulting panic is completely involuntary.
That makes total sense, but it also sounds paralyzing for the owner.
Mm.
Because you have to go to the grocery store eventually, right?
Right. You can't be held hostage by the dog.
Exactly. So how do you prevent that natural genetic panic response from taking hold?
You have to systematically desensitize their nervous system to the cues of your departure.
Okay, so like the keys and stuff.
Exactly. Dogs are masters of predicting behavior. They know that you putting on your shoes, grabbing your keys, and picking up your bag means isolation is imminent.
So they start freaking out early.
Their panic starts before you even touch the doorknob.
So you basically have to break the predictive value of those objects.
Exactly. You put on your shoes, you grab your keys, and then you just go sit on the couch and watch television.
Just totally confusing them.
Right. You do it until the dog's brain stops associating the sound of keys with the trauma of separation.
And then what?
Once their nervous system is bored by your keys, you start doing micro-absences.
That's a micro-absence.
You step out the front door, close it, count to 5, and walk back in.
Calmly, I assume.
Right.
Like no big dramatic reunions.
Completely neutral. This is huge. If you make a massive emotional scene when you return, you are confirming to the dog that your absence was a huge deal.
You're validating the panic.
Exactly. By walking in and ignoring them for just a minute, you communicate that humans coming and going is the most boring, routine thing in the world.
And then you just build up the time.
Yeah. You gradually expand that time from 5 seconds to 5 minutes to an hour. You teach their brain that being alone is safe and that it is always temporary.
But what if someone didn't do that early on? And they're now dealing with a dog in full-blown distress? Because the briefing mentions barking as a major warning sign.
Yeah, it is.
So what does this all mean? Are Cavaliers just an inherently yappy breed?
No, they actually aren't.
Really?
Yeah, compared to many terriers or other small companion breeds, Cavaliers are not prone to barking just to hear their own voice.
Okay.
So excessive barking in this breed is almost always a diagnostic tool. It is basically an overflow valve for a dysregulated nervous system.
So when they are standing at the window, howling for 3 hours, they aren't just trying to annoy the neighbors.
Not at all. They are having a panic attack. Excessive vocalization or destructive chewing specifically around the door you left her?
Oh, because they're trying to get to you.
Exactly. Or having accidents in the house when they are otherwise fully potty trained. These are clear indicators that the dog's cortisol levels are spiked.
And people probably just buy bark collars for that.
Which is the worst thing you could do. If you see this pattern, you don't buy a bark collar to suppress the noise. You are just masking a psychological crisis.
Adding pain to panic.
Exactly. That is the moment you need to bring in a qualified trainer or a veterinarian to help implement a structured desensitization protocol.
Okay, let's expand the scope a bit.
Sure.
Because we've focused really intensely on this one-on-one, laser-focused bond between the dog and the owner. But a house isn't a vacuum.
Definitely not.
How does a dog with a nervous system tune that finely to one person handle having their attention fragmented by the unpredictable chaos of a household? Like, let's start with kids.
Well, Cavaliers are famously gentle and patient, which actually makes them highly sought after for families.
That makes sense.
But that gentle nature can actually be a vulnerability when it comes to toddlers, because a toddler does not move like an adult.
Right. Toddlers are erratic, they're loud, and movements are jerky, they fall over unpredictably.
And to a dog's visual processing system, erratic, jerky movements can sometimes mimic prey, or they can register as an unpredictable threat.
Oh, interesting.
Furthermore, a Cavalier is physically small. A toddler falling on them or pulling their ears can cause real pain.
So they could snap out of fear.
Right. So when the sources say supervision is required between kids and this breed, we don't just mean being in the same room scrolling on your phone.
Like actually watching them.
We mean active management. You have to protect the dog's physical safety and their psychological trust while actively teaching the child how to predictably and calmly interact with an animal.
Okay, what about the rest of the ecosystem? Like other dogs?
They thrive with other dogs. Their companion-oriented nature scales up very well to canine roommates, provided, the introductions are gradual and positive.
Nice. But here's the ultimate roommate test, though, cats.
Ah, yes.
Because if they have spaniel heritage, don't they have a prey drive that makes cats a target?
This is where understanding canine sensory processing is just so fascinating.
Okay, also.
Dogs experience the world primarily through their olfactory lobe, right? Through smell. But their visual processing, especially for fast movement, is what triggers the prey drive.
So if a cat runs...
Exactly. If you just drop a cat into the living room, the cat panics and runs. The dog's visual cortex sees small, fast movement, and the chase instinct overrides everything else.
Even if they're a sweet Cavalier.
Even then.
So how do you bypass that visual trigger?
You build a neurological map of the cat in the dog's brain using scent before they ever even lay eyes on each other.
Oh, that's wild. How do you do that?
You keep them in separate spaces and swap their bedding. You let the dog deeply investigate the smell of the cat under the door.
So they're just getting used to the data of the cat.
Exactly. You let their brain map the presence of this new creature through olfaction in a calm state. By the time they finally have supervised visual contact, the dog's brain already recognizes the cat as a familiar resident of the ecosystem, not a sudden, fast-moving target.
That is incredible. You are literally letting them read the cat's biography through scent before they even meet.
It works wonders.
Now, assuming the physical ecosystem is balanced, right? The kids are calm, the cat is mapped out, the leash walking is decent. I want to talk about what's going on inside the dog's head, the mental gym.
Oh, this is so important.
Because we all know dogs need physical walks to burn energy. But does a lack of cognitive exercise actually result in behavioral problems?
Absolutely. The sources call this the enrichment gap.
The enrichment gap.
Okay.
Yeah.
A Cavalier that is physically exhausted from like a 3-mile walk but cognitively starved will often exhibit restlessness, pacing, or attention-seeking behaviors that owners completely misdiagnose.
Like they think they're being stubborn again.
Right. They think the dog is acting out, but the dog's brain is just desperately bored.
So how do you take a dog to the mental gym? You can't just, hand them a crossword puzzle.
No, but you engage their problem-solving skills and their nose. 15 minutes of intense sniffing or puzzle solving burns more systemic energy than a mindless jog around the block.
Wait, really? Just from sniffing?
Just from sniffing. It's incredibly taxing for their brain.
Wow.
So you use puzzle feeders where they have to slide compartments to find their kibble. You hide treats around the house and make them search.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It is. Or you do short 5-minute shaping sessions where they have to figure out what behavior gets them a reward. If we connect this to the bigger picture, cognitive exertion builds a tired, settled, and deeply confident dog.
Which perfectly sets up the final piece of this puzzle. Knowing that this breed needs deep cognitive engagement, absolute emotional safety, and a very specific approach to desensitization, what are the most common ways people mess this up? Like, what are the biggest pitfalls?
The briefing identifies 3 major pitfalls.
Yep.
First, assuming that because the breed has a naturally sweet, easygoing disposition, training can just be skipped.
They're too cute to discipline trap.
Yes.
Which probably just leads to a wildly insecure dog that has absolutely no boundaries.
Exactly. They need structure to feel safe. The second pitfall is underestimating the sheer volume of emotional attention they require.
Because they're the bathroom shadow.
Right. People budget time for walks and money for vet bills, but they forget that this dog requires serious daily emotional investment. You cannot just leave them in the yard all day.
And the third?
The third is overcorrecting a sensitive dog. And this usually happens to people who fall into the "I've had dogs before" trap.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because this is the experienced owner who has raised Labradors or Terriers for 20 years. And they just assume that dog hardware is all exactly the same.
And it's the most dangerous trap.
Because a lab is so different.
A Labrador has an incredible bounce back rate. You can give a Labrador a firm verbal correction, they shake it off, and 5 seconds later, they are wagging their tail asking you to throw a tennis ball.
Right. They are incredibly emotionally resilient.
Very. But if you bring that exact same heavy-handed old-school technique to a Cavalier, their trust shatters.
It just doesn't translate.
Not at all. The emotional wiring is completely different. You cannot apply a one-size-fits-all methodology. You have to adapt to the specific animal in front of you.
You literally have to toss out the old playbook. And I guess it's worth mentioning, while we are talking about adapting and managing care, the source material brings up organizational tools like the VitalPet app. A lot of owners use these to track vaccination schedules, vet visits, and weight milestones.
Which is fantastic for the physical logistics of keeping a dog healthy.
Right, but I think it's crucial to separate logistics from psychology. You know?
Oh, entirely.
An app is a calendar. It's incredibly useful for remembering a booster shot. But if you are dealing with a dog having a panic attack at the window, or a dog whose confidence has been shattered by overcorrection, an app cannot fix that.
No technology can.
Meaningful behavioral reality always requires human intervention, right?
Right.
Like a qualified vet, a behavioral trainer, and mostly just your own patience.
Which perfectly summarizes the core philosophy of living with a Cavalier.
Yeah.
If you distill everything in this briefing down to a single guiding principle, it is this. You must lead with encouragement, not correction.
That's powerful.
Your job isn't to force compliance. Your job is to make the path to success incredibly clear, highly rewarding, and emotionally safe.
Make the path clear. I love that. And that actually wraps up our deep dive into the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel.
We covered a lot.
We really did. We covered a massive amount of ground today, from the neurology of why positive reinforcement is mandatory, to the physics of leash walking, to even leveraging a dog's olfactory system to make peace with the family cat.
It's all connected.
It is. The definitive takeaway here is that with this breed, training and emotion are permanently linked. You just cannot have one without the other.
You really can't. But I do want to leave you, the listener, with one final lingering thought to mull over.
Oh, lay it on us.
Well, we have spent this entire deep dive examining how this specific breed was genetically sculpted over hundreds of years to want nothing more than to be emotionally in sync with us.
Right, to be the ultimate shadow.
Exactly. To read our moods, to study our habits, to follow us into every room. But if you bring a creature like that into your life, an animal that is so exquisitely tuned to your every emotion and reaction, how does having a dog like that subtly end up training you?